Hi guys, so today we're going to be talking about 21st century literacies again, but exactly which literacies are relevant to the 21st century. So let's start off with what is literacy. So Noble and Lanxier define literacy as socially recognized ways of generating, communicating, and negotiating meaningful content through the medium of encoded text within context of participation in different ways of understanding the world. However, I would describe 21st century literacies as the different knowledge bases that students need to understand and look through in order to make sense of and make change in our ever-changing and evolving world. So, the different lenses that information needs to be looked through, there's a whole bunch. For this first video, we're going to start off with 4. So, let's start off with critical literacy. So, critical literacy focuses on issues of power and promotes reflection, transformation, and action. It focuses on the problems and its complexity, examining multiple perspectives. Today, and in the future, students need to be critically literate in order to synthesize information, make informed decisions, communicate effectively, and thrive in an ever-changing global community. In order to teach critical literacy, there needs to be a safe, supportive environment, access to diverse resources, understanding of student interests, supporting time to think, respect, and allowing students to bring their own experiences into the classroom. Some critical literacy strategies include problem posing, juxtaposing, making connections, and reimagining. So now let's look at multicultural literacy. Multicultural literacy looks at how race, language, religion, and so on intersects with other vectors of diversity such as gender, age, ability, sanity, and sexual identity. As educators, we will have the chance to learn from our students about their ethnic, racial, and familial backgrounds. Since we are a growingly multicultural and diverse nation, knowing about each other is a good first step towards tolerance and deeper understanding in our classrooms. When you blend critical and multicultural literacy, you look at a broad range of equity-seeking, social justice-oriented pedagogies of social difference, as well as a critical approach to the politics of difference and respecting and recognizing histories of oppression and a need for radically rethinking systems and even including the education system itself. So, let's look at a possible integrated lesson we can use in a classroom ranging in a variety of grades that looks at critical literacy, multicultural literacy, as well as curriculum expectations within the languages strands such as oral communication, listening, and even writing expectations if you were to extend it with a writing component. So as I go through these literacies, I'm going to offer a different lesson, blending two of them together, because what's really important with 21st century literacy is the integrated approach and how we're going to actually use this in the classroom. So lesson 1 that I came up with was using a book called Sammy and the Time of Troubles. So first you would obviously show the students the book and explain that this story takes place in Lebanon. Ask students if they know where it is. You might ask someone to point it out on a map or globe. And then you would maybe give them a little summary. A 10-year-old Lebanese boy balances his life in a war-torn city. And then kind of explain the history and what you know about it. And then as you would go through the book, you would suggest to students that as they read the story, they look for similarities and differences between the culture represented in the book and their own culture. You might ask children whether they are Arabic as well, or whether they have any friends who are, possibly about their own cultural background. Question the lifestyle differences and similarities and why these differences and similarities exist. So it's also really important to always be asking why and not just about what there is, but why these things are. So you're going to examine multiple perspectives, why these perspectives are the way they are. Think about the systems of impression that are possibly evident in the book, and maybe even take that further outside of the book. Another good thing you can do is also to look through the images in the book if you're working with the younger grades, so maybe discussing why there's a globe or why there's barbed wire or there's different forms of writing and so on. So that's a lesson we can do for that one that really has an integration between the multicultural and the critical literacy, as well as working on different curriculum expectations, of course. So our next literacies we're going to look at are media literacy and mental health literacy. So media literacy can be defined as a pedagogical approach promoting the use of diverse types of media and information communication technology to question the roles of media in society and the multiple meanings of all types of messages. Analysis of media content is combined with inquiry into the medium. Mental health literacy can be defined as knowledge and beliefs about mental health disorders which aid the recognition, management, and prevention. When thinking about mental health, let's remember that 60% of people with a mental illness won't seek out the help they need due to the stigma associated with it and with being labeled mentally ill every day. So, even though this is the case, 1 in 4 people suffer from mental illness every day. Keeping this in mind, let's look at a possible lesson we can use in the classroom to help inform people on mental health and reduce stigma. So, our second lesson is pretty simple. So we would just have students form groups of 4 and come up with 5 different stigmas that they might have or think other people have towards mental illness. They would then have students research the correct answers to these stigmas and if they are true or false. You would then have students each make a YouTube video of 5 mini skits of each scenario with a person representing the stigma and then showing the reality. Students will then share these videos on YouTube so that others around the world can see the true knowledge and erase their stigmas. This activity works on language, drama, and critical thinking, research skills, communication, and so on. So as you can see, there's a variety of curriculum expectations and skills that are involved in this lesson, as well as the media and mental health literacy. So pretty much you would be looking at how do these media representations then construe information about mental health and who does it benefit. So maybe also looking at how the pharmaceutical companies and drug companies benefit from these different stigmas instead of the actual people that have to live with mental illness every day. Second video coming up.